I am so excited to record this video. I have been putting it off for the longest time ever, purely because I now have two babies and I have a lot less time to be able to sit down in quiet and put my focus towards something. And I knew when recording this video that I wanted to be able to give like all my concentration. So here we are. We have a few moments to ourselves to be able to do this video. So before coming on, I was just thinking about what way am I going to do this, because I feel like there's literally so much to cover. So what I've kind of decided is I'm probably going to do 2, maybe 3 separate videos. So in this video, I'm going to talk about planning my home birth, why I decided to have a home birth, and tips kind of just for prepping if you decide to do one. So I obviously am living in Ireland. I am based in Dublin, and I decided to have my beautiful baby girl within my home rather than going to the hospital. So I have had one baby, my baby boy. I had him in hospital, and yeah, I just decided for my next baby to have her at home. And I can honestly say it was the most magical, amazing experience. And I, hand on heart, if you are able to, or if you have any desire or even like curiosity about giving birth at home, I would highly recommend to look into it and encourage it. So I'm actually not going to edit this video at all. I'm literally just going to put it up as it is. So yeah, if there's a few moments and me kind of just like trying to gather my thoughts, bear with me. I just don't have the time to chip chop and like put the videos together, so it's literally going up as is. So the first thing, I suppose, when deciding to give birth, actually no, I was going to say okay, first of all I'm going to talk about why I decided to give birth. So why I decided to give birth, well, I had no option, but why I decided to give birth at home. With Eli, I was a lot less knowledgeable on the topic than I am now. And yeah, I hadn't obviously had the experience of giving birth. I didn't know what it would be like to give birth in a hospital. But having had done that, I realised not again. Now, come to say that, my delivery with Eli was long, unmedicated, so it was natural delivery, no pain relief, but interventions had to take place, and yeah, I just kind of wanted to minimize the chances of that happening. One thing I firmly believe is that, well, I don't believe it, it's a fact, our bodies are physiologically designed to give birth. So I feel like to treat birthing as a medical procedure nearly, or to treat birthing, a woman in birth, as an emergency whereby hospitalization is needed, really dismisses the female power and primal makeup of us and instincts to deliver naturally. When I say naturally, I don't just mean unmedicated without pain relief. I mean without intervention and without somewhat kind of control, which is what happens in hospitals due to policies and, unfortunately, due to, I suppose, it's like, I don't really know how to word it, but basically I felt like you kind of are on a timeline and you have to be dilating according to their timeline, and if not, interventions take place, and it's not a natural process, which is what, as I said, birth should be for the female body. It should be a natural process. Everybody is different. And 100% I do acknowledge that there are times whereby medical intervention is necessary. However, it is proven that when you interfere with a female who is in the process of naturally birthing, you are more likely to cause the need for interventions. When I say interventions, it can be anything from doing cervical checks, so finding out how many centimeters dilated you are, asking the mother to move to a position whereby she may not be comfortable in, and may actually take away from gravity that she is upright. So if you're telling her to lay down, your body, the only way I can describe natural birth is that your body knows what to do, and if you follow and trust your body, baby arrives happy, safely, and naturally, beautifully. Like, just it's mind-blowing that what the female body can do when we let it do it. So yeah, and also just to mention, this video in no shape or form is to throw shade at anyone who decides to take pain relief during birth, who decides to choose to give birth in a hospital. My main thing is that I feel like every woman's birthing environment should be one that brings her a sense of safety, should be one that brings her a sense of self-control, and should be a trusting relationship with by whoever is present for whilst you give birth. So if you find yourself wanting to give birth in a hospital and feeling reassured by the support that you may get in a hospital, then 100% that is for you, because it is also proven that a woman who is in distress and a woman who is not who is prevented from basically releasing happy hormones, oxytocin, it can slow down the labor process and it can delay it, and in turn then cause distress on baby and also mother. So my main thing is, wherever the mother decides to give birth, it should be somewhere where she feels safe. It should be somewhere where she feels trust, a lot of trust between her and her care provider, and herself, of course, and her baby. Trust your baby, trust your body. And that's what I did. I spoke to Nova throughout my entire birth, and I just really, really zoned in on me and her and this experience of her entering the world. But I'm going to talk about my actual birth experience in a different video. I'm going to talk about my entire home birth. This is more so about why I decided to give birth at home, and planning for that. Another reason why I wanted to give birth at home was because obviously I have a little boy, and I wanted to be able to be at home and be here, and kind of, my dad actually minded Eli whilst I was in labor, but I was able to see him the next day, and he was able to see his sister, and also I was able to kind of get into the routine of being at home with a newborn, rather than in a hospital whereby you're with other people around you, other babies. There's so much noise. I found that I got really, really little rest when I was in the hospital. I also had no help because obviously Joe wasn't there. The father is sent home. And you've literally just gone through this, in a way, physically traumatic, because I feel like birth can be physically traumatic on the body, due to the intense pain you go through and the energy your body has to use up to deliver this baby. So yeah, I found not having that kind of rest and being in the comfort of my own home after having given birth really hard. Also, emotionally, the woman is really, really vulnerable, and you're very much alone. I found, anyway, personally, after birth in a hospital. So yeah, they all kind of added up to the reasons. Another reason was that I do feel, from my own personal experience, that when I was in the hospital, I just felt like birth, my experience of birth wasn't treated with as much respect as it should have and could have been. And I wasn't basically given a lot of opportunity to give informed consent. So when I say that, I mean, if someone is going to do an intervention whilst you're in hospital and in labouring, you should be presented with all of the information. You should be presented with, how is it going to affect you during the process? How is it going to affect the baby? What are the risks associated with it? What are the risks associated with not having the intervention? And you should be able to weigh up that type of decision. Now, obviously, yes, in labor, it's hard to do that, which is why I feel like so much actual research should go into labor whilst you're pregnant, so that you, during labor, if asked certain things, you have a plan in your head. If this was to happen, what your options are. So that's where the birth plan kind of comes in, which is what I did have for my home birth as well. And I actually did have a birth plan for Eli. Unfortunately, it wasn't really considered as much as it should have been. Again, that's just my own experience. I know a lot of people have amazing hospital birth experiences, so all I can do is talk from my own experience with the birth of both of my children. So in Ireland, as of now, there are 3 ways that I'm aware of. There could be more. If there is, feel free, leave as many comments. This video is literally just to inform mothers who want to consider giving birth at home and hear, obviously, me share my story. So if you have any other information to add, please leave in the comments, and we can all learn from each other. But there are 3 ways whereby you can give birth, which is medically assisted, and then obviously you can do free birth. Anybody in the world can do a free birth. It is literally giving birth at home by yourself without anyone with medical training present, basically. However, doulas can attend free births as well, and they are basically there to support you, to advocate for you, and I suppose really be a mental resource, as well as giving pros and tips on how to physically maneuver yourself, maneuver your body, and help get baby again here healthy and happy, and to really encourage a natural and physiological birth. So the 3 ways where you can do it medically assisted in Ireland is with the HSE birth scheme plan, which you can do public or private. Then there's Private Midwives Ireland, and then there is the Domino birth scheme, and the Domino home birth scheme is what I ended up going with, and I was very happy with my my pregnancy and my home birth experience with them, with the midwives from the Domino birth scheme. They are linked to Hollow Street Hospital in Dublin, so they also are free of cost, like they don't cost anything. So my first step when deciding my home birth was first deciding who I was going to go with. Originally, I wanted to go with Private Midwives Ireland for multiple reasons. One of them being they actually have less strict policies than the Domino midwives. However, they are costly, and they also were fully booked for the whole month of December, which was when I was due with Nova. So they weren't really an option for us. They also allow water birth. Domino allow water immersion during labour, but in their policies they don't allow the delivery of the baby. So when the baby actually is crowning and coming out, they don't have it in their policies that they allow you to give birth in the water. However, I did actually raise this with one of the midwives at one stage, and I said, what if you're in the water and baby comes, like, once, obviously, you know, when you're in that stage of like baby is here, like you can't like cross your legs and be like, okay, let me hop out of the pool and like get somewhere else, the baby's gonna come. And they said, yeah, well, obviously if that was to happen, it's unpreventable, but they generally try to not have the woman give birth in the actual immersion of water. But anyway, well, so that's just one thing to note, I suppose. So when I first met with the midwife, so with Domino midwives, you have your antenatal care with them as well, which is done in a clinic. They run several different clinics, so you can decide which one you visit, I suppose, whichever is closest to where you're living, and it makes it more convenient. And then they also come to your house when you're in labor. So for me, my first meeting with the midwife was within my home, and I was asked to sign a consent form. But we read through the consent form, and when reading it, there were so many like little things that were sticking out to me that I just wasn't fully comfortable with, and they didn't really align with my kind of plan, my birth plan. So I ended up not signing the consent form on that day. And the midwife who was there, she was really nice. She suggested, why don't I meet with kind of the head midwife of the Domino Birth Scheme and go through my birth plan rather than get the consent form. And then in doing that, compare where there may be gaps between their policies versus my birth plan, if that makes sense. So before doing that, I actually took it upon myself to go and read the policies and procedures of midwives in Ireland that the HSE apply and that they are obliged to go through, okay? And when I visited the head midwife, now what I'm going to do as well is under this video, I'm going to leave a link to all documents I used to help create my birth plan, and also all documents I used to ensure my rights were met and to ensure complete consent was given for anything that was hypothetically going to take place. Because that's kind of what you have to think about before giving birth, is what hypothetically could take place and what your decision on that would be, rather than in the moment not really have much information and have to make a decision there and then when you're in the midst of like labouring. So once I kind of went through the actual legal policies and procedures that all midwives under the HSE have to follow, I then was able to say, well, here it says, if you look at section whatever 8AI, like when doing cervical checks, it states that the female has, you know, the right to refuse, and if so, midwife should look at, and then it kind of gives a list of like all the other kind of things that the midwife can do to guess the dilation. Then yeah, so like literally I kind of went through my birth plan, checked, right, this meets this meets this, and made sure I was fully comfortable with what I was signing before I signed anything. So luckily I was able to find that comfort balance, and then also know that the midwives were able to carry out like what they were going to do, which anyway, we'll get to that when I talk about my actual birth experience. So in the birth plan, how I did it was I divided it up into my environment, my body, and my baby. So what I wrote about my environment was the environment I wanted to kind of have set up, how I wanted to use my environment while in labour. Then my body, I talked about what I wanted. Not basically, it was more so what I did was I thought about what I don't want rather than what I do want, because that's kind of what would have happened in the hospital. Things that I don't want would have made me then realise I want a home birth experience, because I felt like it would be less invasive. So I wrote all that out for my body, and then I also wrote out things that I did want. Let me know in this video as well. I can do another video on my actual birth plan where I can read it out and then discuss why I wrote each thing, and discuss where I kind of got the information for each thing to back up what I was saying as well. I can do that too, but I just don't want to put everything in one video. Like we're already at like 20 minutes now, so yeah. So basically, once I did my environment, my body, my baby more so talked about when the baby comes out. It also gave information about vitamin K in Ireland when children are born in hospitals. Parents, I'm not even sure in all cases, I have heard where parents are not asked, which in itself is like red flag. If you want to give your baby a vitamin K shot, another thing that I'm not sure if everyone is aware of, you can object to this one. You can also then say you don't want to give it intramuscular, which is given in the muscle of the thigh when the baby's born. You can decide to give it orally. And there is information out there whereby if you do choose to give it orally, how to do so. And if you are breastfeeding versus bottle feeding, what happens with it orally, and so forth. Again, you can object all. You can object oral, you can object intramuscular, or you can decide whatever you choose to do, both at hospital and at home. Because when babies are born at home, the midwives will also offer a vitamin K dosage. So that's another thing to bear in mind when devising your birth plan, what you're going to choose to do with that. Then with the Domino scheme as well, afterwards they come to your house and they visit you for a few days after, depending on like if there was any complications with baby or mother, for the length of time will be decided. But yeah, as I said, mine went very smoothly. And I was visited by them in my house in the comfort of my own home. I wasn't having to put baby in a car seat, worry about getting to the hospital, all of these things. Everything was done at home. And if I had any questions or if I wanted to chat at all to the midwives, I could do so here in my house. And my baby was comfortable, wrapped up at home with me in bed. Like, I couldn't recommend it more. So that's kind of where we're at for this video in terms of why I decided to do a home birth. One thing I can honestly say is giving birth is literally such a blessing to be able to do, and you are literally a portal for carrying life into this world. And I think so much respect should go to a mother for simply carrying life for 9 months to then completely, it's like when you give birth, you step out, it's like an outer body experience, but your body is so instinctually in touch primarily with your baby that it's like you go with it. You let go. You completely have to let go. The pain is so consuming that you literally, that's why I'm saying it's like an outer body experience, that your body just takes over and you just go with it, because obviously you have to. And you know that with each push, with each contraction, it is bringing you a step closer to meeting your baby. And it's just, oh, I'm gonna cry. It's just the most soul fulfilling experience I will ever do. And I'm so happy. I felt like it was such a healing process. I felt like it was such a reaffirming process as a female, as a woman, to be able to give birth naturally at home without any medical intervention. And it's a memory I will always have, I will always cherish. I will be able to share it with my daughter one day, and hopefully it will help empower her to decide to do a natural home birth at home as well, and encourage her, and just to know your strength and your strength and your just mental capacity, your physical capacity, your ability to do something like that is just, yeah, it really does give you a sense of empowerment. It gives you a sense of like overwhelming, like, don't ever try come for me or my baby, like we are as one. The experience you share when you give birth with your child, it's just like complete lioness, warrior, mom comes alive. Like, it's just undefeatable. So yeah, I am so happy I chose to do a home birth, and my next video is going to be talking about my home birth completely from start to finish, from when I went into labor, from the pushing, from the night before. So many funny little bits to talk, and memories that I will never ever forget, and maybe some footage of my actual birth will I include. I'll censor things obviously, but maybe I won't, we'll see. But as in, I will definitely censor, but maybe I will or won't share, we'll see. But yeah, I'm just completely advocating and cheering on anyone who is deciding to do a home birth. I feel like it will really allow you to step into your power as a female, as a mother, and completely allow yourself to be in tune with yourself, to trust yourself, and to have a sense of where you really, really rely within rather than like externally. You completely internally rely on yourself, because you know, like, you're here, you're at home. There's no, you can't press stop. There's no going back. You are here, you are giving birth, and the only way out and the only way forward is to do it. You just do it, and you embrace every moment. And it's crazy, as painful, as consuming physically, mentally as it is, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would just, yeah, there will be never anything to this day in this world that will be more powerful or more meaningful than giving birth to my children. And something of such high importance should be done somewhere whereby you feel comfortable and where you feel like you can completely relish it, enjoy it, be truly present in it without distraction, without others trying to control that experience. It should be completely from within, you and your baby. It's your moment. And that's what I felt like Homebirth allowed me to do. It allowed me to really, really have that moment with my baby girl. And I'm going to get off this before I cry again. But sending so much love to all mommies and babies out there. And yeah, feel free to leave any comments, any questions, and I will see you in my next video.